Hey people, I'm fixing to blow y'all's mind. And after watching this, beside me, you're going to be the smartest person you know. But this is when it says in Genesis 1, when it says, and we made them in our image. And God said we make them in our image. This is the image it's talking about. This is the image of Virgo. This is the ancient image of Virgo here. And it's what it is, it's ovaries. And when you turn it up like this, this is the image they made you in. This is God's image. And this is the way the ancients pictured the owl. This owl represented the letter M in Egypt. And the M represented the water, or from out of, to come out of, in all the other languages. Can you see the resemblance there? And that's why you always see this old owl holding the key of wisdom. Always pictured with the key. And you see him in this constellation, the Noctua, and he's on a serpent's tail, and he's underneath Virgo here. So about 2,000 years ago, indeed first when a man wanted to compose an email concerning all things, he first had to log on to his account. So this log on, it comes from the base word logos, and sometimes it means word, and sometimes it's account. Most time word, commandment, your statement. You got to log on if you want your statement. The news, you got to log on. The matter. If you want to ask a question first, you must log on to your account. A log on, an accounting of things. So this is the base word here. It's used the most, 130 times. There's another log on up here. It uses the omega as the O. You don't see it in this Bible. We'll see it in this other one. I think in this variance Bible. You can see the original word for Acts here was Pharisees. The Pharisees, that means the old law. Pharisees was the old law. The Sadducees were coming in with the new law. So this is telling the old law here. And we just know it as the Acts, but it's really the Pharisees. And so it appears to say, ton, man, proton, logon, the poison in Peri-Panton. But it has all these little marks up here that give reading directions. And so ton, this is like, tis, the old poets that write it is, just T, apostrophe is, tis. Well, this is ton as it on. Ton means what you're wearing. Ton is the fashion of the day. The mark on, O-N. And O-N means to see cycle. So it changes, the fashion changes every 40 years pretty much. And so ton, it on men. And it's hard for me to believe that people read this for thousands of years and they read this as men, and it meant indeed, but they called us men. Now I'm pretty sure this means men, and you can see it, it's from in, en is in, and it's also, from the seed, God added from the seed it on, and fashioned the ton, and fashioned from in, fashioned from the seed. And this isn't proton, it's P-R-O, which is for, you're for something, you're pro, for, and then the wave up here, the swoosh we're going to call it. The swoosh tells you to bring the R over here, and it's ton men for written, P-R-O for, and then R-T-O-N, written, the logon. And the logon is a book that you keep count of, to keep a count. The watch keeps the log, and he keeps account of everything that happens. The security guard logs everybody in and out of the building, the logon, to keep account. And then this mark here has you read this word backwards first. It's called an apostrophe. And if you look it up, the Greek word, the word comes from apostrophe, from the Greek word, and it means to turn away. And so when you see it, you turn away. You turn away over here and you read this word backwards. first and then this way. And so it's NHM, the name AS. The name as HI is high. The name is high, OP is of. The P, sometimes they say it's the P, sometimes they say it's the Q, the PH or the F. Same as in Nephilim, it's spelled with a P, not an F or a Q. And so the name is high of, and then turn around the other way. The poi, P-O-I, is the ancient medical term for the mouth. If he writes a script, he wants you to take it per orally. That's what he writes on your script. P-O-I, per orally. And that way the pharmacist will know how to fix your script up. Not get you a suppository. Get you something you can take orally, per orally. The mouth has them on. The mouth, HS, has, A-M-H-N, has them on. And that's where your word poetry come from, and compose. And the same word in the beginning God created, it looks like this, the poes, and then the H-N. It's just missing the A-M in there. And it's the potion of the spell coming out of the mouth. And so, eton man for written logon, the names high of the poe has them on. The names of the high gods. And you see that here, Peri, the circle, Panton. And so this Panton is just kind of making fun of the world pantheon, the pantheon, the Panton. And it's the circle of gods, borrowed from the Latin, the pantheon, ancient Greek, the pantheon, temple of all the gods. And so they're saying that comes from pan is all, but pan means all around. Somebody's panhandling, they're all around. The pan is around, it's pan. Panavision, all around vision. And the theos, they're saying is the gods. But here it's the pan all around, the tone, the ton, the fashion. And so ancient people, they knew that everything was created with tones. Everything is created the same substance, and the frequency is what makes what it is. What gives it its color is the frequency of light. And they put it in this pan tone, the pantheon. You see all the gods in this ring out here. The tone of the music, the tones, the circle of tones, the Pantone, the circle of colors, the frequency of the colors, the Pantones, the names of gods, the alphabet, the alpha lives in bet, the house, stars, the names of the stars, the circle, the frequencies. Names high of the po has them in. So where your word poet come from, the mouth creates. And Peri, around Panton. And then you got 2 marks above omega here. The swoosh on the top is telling you to read the N, and the apostrophe is telling you to read it in this direction. And so you're reading it, the O, and then you go back and get the last letter. Every time there's a swoosh, go back and get the last letter and put it on the other side. And so it's O-N, on. And around the Panton, on a Theophile. And, this is where your word pedophile come from. They'll say it means love, friend. And, Theo, they say that means God, the God friend. But what it means is the, T-H-E, the O file. The file means to write it and place it in. The O file. That's what we just looked at, was a picture of the O file, the Theophile. And then you see this, the apostrophe's backwards here now. And so it means to read it this way, O-N, and then O. And the swoosh is telling you to grab this E back here So you read it O-E-N-O, O-E-N-O. The Theophile wino. And the other way, that's a winophile. A winophile, a connoisseur of wines. You know, he sips the wine and he files it. He writes down what he thinks, puts in his place, the file. The winophile. They say philo is the love of, the wine loves, the love of wine. It's the knowledge, the file, the knowledge filed. The O-file wino. They say file is friend, but, you don't file your friends. File is something you do to a piece of steel to shape it. You don't try to shape your friends. You make them your friends because you like the way they're already shaped. You don't try to change them. But a pedophile, he doesn't pedo kids love. He kid files. The Theophile wino. And then the apostrophe tells you to read this the other way again. O-T at, to see. O, to see, the T's the mark. To see the mark, you look on a tape measure. When you see your mark, that's where it's at. And then the same as that first word. On the first day they say is earth. In the Hebrew it's share, X-R. At a share, the hertz, H-R-X is the T-Z, the hertz. At a share, the hertz too. And so a hertz is a frequency. And they knew from the beginning, that everything was created with the frequency. You'll see it here on the second day of creation, and yammer, from a yell, make the H-I-R-F, job, J-O-B, the job, to B-K-U, to bucka, the job to bucka, the first son, the job to bucka, took, the job to bucka. When he said, hey, make the hertz, the job to bucka took. And so it's the HIRF, H-I-R-F. This is a high intensity radiated field. It's an energy of a strength sufficient to adversely affect either a living organism or the performance of a device subject to it. And this is also known as the firmament. You see, when it was created here, so made God to the RFIO. RFIO, ready for initial operation. God knew before he put anything on earth, he's going to have to create this RFIO. He's got to put a HIRF around it, a high intensity radiation field, to protect the earth before it could grow an atmosphere. Without the radiation field, we wouldn't have an atmosphere. And that's what it says, firmament. That's the firmament. On a Theophile wino, at a share hurts it too. Who swoosh. The mark here has you read this backwards, S-W. And this tells you to read the O twice. You're moving this way, so it's S-W-O-O-S-H. At a swoosh. Swoosh, the sound produced of a sudden rush of air or liquid, swooshing down the beautiful ski slopes, to move with a swoosh. Hurts it to who swoosh. Each is of, and then O-S, as the mouth, the poi, E-Y, T-H-E-Y, they, and then move the E over, N, E-N. As the mouth, they, in, to, T-E-W. The key is just replaces the vav. You look in the Old Testament, in the Hebrew, and they'll just replace that where there's a vav in the Hebrew. They just replace it with this key in the Greek, and it's just the single letter vav. It has some other tricks to it, but it just means vav when it's read this way. And so it's a W, a U, or a V, come in and, or connected to, or it's just a two, T-E-W. And to means to shape something. When you shape, you to wood. That's where your word tool come from. You two wood, you two leather, you shape it. And so the mouth, they in two, they shape. Did ask, Thein, did ask thine. You know, and it's not to teach, but did ask thee in. Eton men for written logon, name as high of the poi his amen. Peri around the Panton-ono-Theofile, on a God-ophile. The wino at a share hurts it too. You know, the wine on at a share, it hurts it too. You know, the wine, everything shares a frequency. Will be in its frequency. That planet, that color, that sound, that constellation, everything that shares a hertz will be the wine, that flavor will be in that file. You know, the God-ophile, the around a Panton-ono-Theofile. The wine at a share hurts it too. Who swoosh each is of as the poi, the mouth, they in two. They in shape. The words they in shape. Did ask thine. And so thine, you know, that's the way you would speak of a god, thine. So this word, you know, itches, reads backwards and forwards, the swoosh, each is of as. It isn't the one God, it's a poetic way of writing which God to choose, which hertz, which frequency. The Theophile wine at a share hurts it too. Who swoosh each is of as the poi into. The poi they into, the mouth they into. The swoosh each is of, the mouth they into. Did ask thine. So in the end of chapter 4 in Genesis, you know, it talks about the son of Seth, Enosh, and it was then that men began to call on the names of God, you know, did ask thine. And so it's just a poetic way of writing about astrology.
Don't forget, I won't forget.
Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.